Welcome back, JDC family. My name is Jay. This is my Diecast Creations channel. And today we're going to get into another episode of the Let's Talk series, right? It's been a while since I made one of these videos, but you guys have been asking for it. And I've been super busy, so I haven't gotten to it. But one of the most popular things that I've been asked to do was show you guys what I use for my trash bashing as far as my post-apocalyptic wasteland builds for Gaslands, right? So, you know, there's no science to it, guys. Basically what I do is I try to use my imagination. Now, since I got into this hobby, every time I go to the store, I see things a little bit differently than I used to, right? Things that I never would have looked at before as even a possibility of buying, because I had absolutely zero reason to buy these things, now become quite valuable, actually, when it comes to this hobby. But with that being said, you don't need to go to the store to find anything to make these builds, guys. There's so much stuff that we can facilitate from the trash that you're going to throw out every single day that you can use that you don't even realize, you know? So basically I'm going to get into a couple things. We're going to make this not the longest video in the world, but you know, I want to show you guys, you know, a little bit of you know, what I go through when I'm thinking about doing something like this, right? So the first thing that I want to talk about is armor and weaponry, right? So weaponry can be, you know, a little bit tricky. There are a few tips out there as far as like what you can use to make custom guns and stuff like that. One of the things that I would look into is holding on to these stirrers. You find these at like 7-Eleven when you go to get your coffee. And you know, they're free. You know, they're free. You could chop them down, you could triple them up, maybe put a piece of tape or something around it, you know, and you got yourself a little machine gun of some sort. You know, you can actually take a toothpick or a piece of wood, circular wood rod, that you can find in multiple things, you know, popsicle sticks and stuff like that. You know, you'll start to see that different things that are just like mass produced have these pieces of material that you never would have paid attention to before, but will come in handy. You know, they'll come in handy. And I'm not saying to save everything, guys, but, you know, you want to keep a bin of stuff that, like, when it comes time to, you know, to build, you know, I had took some parts off of this, so we'll use it as an example, right? This came from the dollar store. It's a Dollar Tree monster truck, right? But say we're going to build this as a wastelander, right? So I took it apart, you know, stripped the paint off. It's not stripped, but we'll just say that. And you don't have to strip it either. I have a whole nother video on how to weather these things on the cheap, right, with sandpaper, and you don't need to mess with any chemicals. And then you just go over the tampos that are here and make it look rough and rugged, right? But say this is the base that we're gonna work with, right? Now, you know, it's sitting on a desk, and you need to find things to beef it up, right? So maybe you use this stirrer and you cut down a piece, and it's going to be like stacks, right? You're going to have stacks come across the back, or you can you know, lay it out like this, where you would make a bumper of some sort, right? You know, use your imagination, guys. Use your imagination. So that's just one thing, is like coffee stirrers, and they even have like the crisscross ones. Those are good too. You can use straws for, you know, bigger things. You know, like this is a plastic straw that came from like a what do you call those things? Like it's like a sports bottle, you know. The bottle actually got broken, so I kept the straw, figuring, you know, if I ever need a bigger circumference, I can use that. You know, copper rod, which, you know, is probably something that's more of something that you would buy at the store, but, you know, anyway, keep your eye out for things like this and keep them in a little bin, you know. You never know what you're going to need when it comes time, and that's when, like, the best ideas come to you, right? Another thing that you throw out all day long is tinfoil, right? Now, tinfoil can be used for many different things. It's moldable, it's shapeable. You can make it into, like, antennas and stuff like that, or you can lay it out and, like, crumple it up a little bit and, you know, use a little tiny piece of it and make like battle damage, right? Maybe crumple it up, glue it on there, cut a hole through the middle, and darken out the paint inside so it looks black, like there would be a hole in it, you know. And then at the end of the day, it would look like a torn piece of sheet metal. Use your imagination, guys. This is stuff that you throw out every single day that you could use. You know, you can use it. So you know, we'll go a little bit deeper into things. If you're gonna go to the dollar store, now don't go to Michael's and don't go to like arts and crafts stores for this stuff, guys. The Dollar Tree, Dollar General too, but like Dollar General can be a little more expensive. The Dollar Tree is where it's at. The Dollar Tree is where it's at. It's the gold mine for wasteland potential, right? The first thing is this. You know, they got these little tanks. I bought this just to show you guys this, really. They got these little tanks, you know. It's a cheap little dollar deal. But you could take this gun off, right? Mount it on its side. Take a pin vise, put a little hole in the end, and now you got like a realistic machine gun or something that's sitting up top, right? You got a little rocket pod on this side. You know, you take that off. You end up using it as either a rocket pod or like you know, just character, guys. You gotta use your imagination and give your build character, right? The other thing that I really want to talk about is maximizing the natural body lines of the vehicle that you're working on, right? So like every vehicle has a characteristic, yeah, but it has a personality. There you go. Every vehicle has a personality. So if we're talking about this monster truck here, we're talking about, you know, big, mean monster truck, right? If we're talking about this Cadillac here, you know, maybe not so much. Unless you made major adjustments to it. This is more like a, you know, a prison type of car, or I think there's a sponsor in there for like the ghost faction. I forget what it's called. You know, and then you got like the stuff like this, the Eclipse, where, you know, it's got these natural, smooth, kind of Fast and the Furious body lines, right? So each one of these cars has a different personality, right? So you don't want to cover up certain things. You want to add to it, right? So maybe I don't make much sense with that, but it makes sense to me. Like, you're not going to go throw a big blocky looking thing on a really curved looking car, right? If you're going to put something on a curved, you know, fast, sleek looking car, you want to put it in a spot where it's like meant to be, kind of deal. You know, like, we'll take this Ferrari as an example, which I'm actually going to start building these soon. I wouldn't go throwing a gun on you know this contour here and cover up the holes that go in here for the air ducts, right? Because that's a really cool part to that car. Maybe I would stick the gun sticking off the side here where it's flat, right? And, you know, let the body lines of the car speak to someone else's imagination as far as that goes. You know, it's all part of the build process, guys. You got to look at what you're working with and kind of, I mean, maybe this sounds kind of dumb, but become one with it. Let the car talk to you, right? Anyway, this is something that gets thrown out all the time, and you know, especially when you're done using them, you clip it, you throw it in the garbage. Well, if you clip it and it's still like not covered in grease and stuff, obviously you're not going to keep things like that. But if it's still good, hold on to them, guys. They're zip ties, cable ties, right? They have a textured surface to them. They got a textured surface to them, and these can be used as armor. These can be used as, like, you can cut them, and you see that? You can cut them and make them look like you can make them look like a ammo feed, right? Somehow make it look like these are the bullets that are coming into the gun, you know? Stuff like that. You got to use your imagination and think outside the box with these things, right? Dollar Tree. Happy birthday thingies, right? You see that? Texture. You're looking for texture, guys. Look past the shiny. Look past the you know, the overall package of it, you know, and look for these textures that are going to help you give your car's character, right? And really put you into another group as far as, like, you know, your build potential goes, right? Snap cover rollers. These are hair tie rollers. Like, the girls, they put them in their hair and it curls their hair, I guess, when they come out of the shower. I don't know, but look at that. It's got texture. It's got a mean spike to it, right? You cut out a couple pieces of this, and now you have window armor. You have a plow. You have, you know, you can add to this. You take the cardstock from your packaging on your Hot Wheels, right? And you paint it black, and then you glue it to the inside. So now there's no holes in it. You have a solid, right? A solid plow. Say you're gonna cut it here and here. So you have 2 rows of this. You put the cardstock underneath there. Boom. Maybe take some Mod Podge or some PVA glue to solidify it a little bit, right? And now you got something that actually looks legit after you put your paint and your weathering on it and you clear coat it, right? So this is what I'm talking about. Think outside the box. These things are gold, man. You know, you can even use this as something else. Maybe you got an animal hauler and you put that on the back. You know, you cut it and you make this into like a cage on the back or something. This is how my mind works, guys. Like, when I see these type of things, I start thinking of the potential of, you know, where can I go with my build, right? Because, like, honestly, yeah, we're all geeks. We're all nerds when it comes to this, you know? And, you know, you have to do these things to stand out and to really make quality builds, right? These are something that I found that are really cool because, you know, they're a little bit bigger than what you really want, but you can cut these things down. And this is found at the Dollar Tree. It's Final Faction. They're bits for like they're for like action figures. They actually sell the action figures as well. And these things like clip on to the action figures, kind of like G.I. Joes were back in the day. But these are $1, right? So you can take these guns, you know, what I did with some of them, and I probably should, you know, cut these down, but I magnetized them, right? I cut this one down a little bit, probably needs to be cut down more. and I put a magnet. I glued a magnet on the bottom there. So now I could just take my my vehicle, mount a hard point on it. Right, mount a hard point on it. This is just a piece of metal that came off of plastic packaging. Like I think it was a pair of gloves, and like it had a button on it, right? And it's a plastic container or packaging. It's like you know what I'm talking about, guys. And these hold the plastic together, right? So this is what I'm talking about things that you throw out that might have potential. Sorry, guys. I got something in my throat. Okay, so, you know, you mount the hard point on there. You mount the magnet on the gun that you got for $1, not even 25 cents, because you get like a bunch of them in there. And boom. You know, does that look cool? Or does that look stupid? I mean, maybe it's a little too big to be realistic, but it's a functional turret. You know, you can spin this thing around. It's magnetic. Not only that, all right, you go into a different, for the people that are like all about the rules on the game, you go into a different scenario, and you know, you don't want a Gatling gun, but you want all right, so you want a machine gun, right? We'll go with that. Boom. Now you got a machine gun, right? And it's a functional turret. Does that look cool or does that look stupid? I don't know. I'm just coming up with some ideas for you guys so that you can have options when it comes time to build, right? Also, facilitate the different vehicles that are out there, right? So like I go to the thrift store and I find bags of cars. This base came off of a Mustang. It's a 68 Mustang, but it's a Matchbox, and it was like jacked up to the sky, right? So I took this Maisto Camaro and I made it work. You have to make things work, guys. Nothing's just gonna fit together, right? I took the base out of the Camaro, I modified the base, and I made the two marry up there, and now it sits cool. Does that look cool? I think it does. You know, it's an off-road Camaro, right? And now it's got a hard point on the back. We turned it into a battle car. Boom. Right? So that's that, you know. Think outside the box, guys. Think outside the box, you know. I keep a bin of trash that would have been things that would have been trash, you know. And like now when it comes time, I can I'm losing it. You know, this is what I'm talking about. You cut these things down. This is part of that hair roller, you know. Little screws and stuff. Little screw, you see it. I'm not gonna go pulling all this out and dropping it everywhere, but you know, this is part of a soap dispenser. You know, maybe you need a certain shape. You cut a piece of this off. Maybe you're gonna, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'll never use any of this stuff, but it's here in case I need it. You know, and not only that, it's also inspiration. You look at these things and you get other ideas that you might not have thought of before. You know, another thing that you could do is paper clips. And I know I talked about this, about the necessities of getting into the hobby, my other video. But, you know, these things are really cool because you can bend them. You can make them into different shapes. You can cut them and make like door bars and like window bars and stuff like that, you know. They're a little bit hard to attach to each other once you cut them, but you know, I've learned little tricks, and one of them is, you know, I had to spend a little bit of money on this, but I found this. It's a Magic Super Glue Activator, Army Painter. I'm sure you could find a cheaper version of this, but as soon as you put the glue on there and you spray that, it makes it solid. It's cement. You know, it solidifies the glue immediately, so that you don't have to sit there and wait for it to try to dry for 5 minutes and then fall apart, you know. The other thing that you could use is these toothpicks. You know, I use these for a lot of different things. You know, especially if you're gonna try to make like a rough and rugged type of deal where you want to put spikes sticking out of the front of a plow or something, or you want to make like a buzzard, if you know, a buzzard from Mad Max, where it's got like the, you know, all types of debris sticking out of it. You know, the toothpicks, man. You know, you find a double pack at the Dollar Tree for $1. You get all these toothpicks for $1, you know? So you got to think outside the box, guys. You got to think outside the box. You know, I found these wooden sticks. These wooden sticks are at the Dollar Tree as well. $1, you get a whole pack of them. And I've made multiple builds with those. And you never know, like, when you need to fill a little tiny gap somewhere, you know. Sometimes it's not even visible, but it's more or less to fill a gap for structure, right? So you need to make this this cab fit this body, but when you put it on, the back sits up a little bit, right? So now you might take a piece of wooden stick and double it up or triple it up and shove it in there, and it makes it sit solid now, right? And then you glue it together and it's good to go. Cover it up with some armor. You never even see it, but it's in there, and that's what made the build. Because if it wasn't for that, then you'd be sitting here like fumbling with the thing. You don't know what to do with it, right? That's what I'm talking about, guys. You gotta be able to fabricate things when it comes to these builds, or don't. I mean, you could also just like take a car apart, put it back together after you paint it and stuff, glue something on there, and call it a day. But like, if you want to get into technical builds, this is what you got to do, you know. And you could go and buy 3D printed parts and stuff. That makes it a lot easier, but you're gonna spend money. This is starter kit stuff on the cheap, you know, without spending a bunch of money. You know, I wanted to show you guys how to do stuff like this. You know, if you're not into it and you want to just make cool cars with what you got, there's options for that too. You know, they make cars like this that already have guns on them. You know, these are like older cars. You can find them though. They're on eBay and stuff like that. You know, you could play this right as it is, you know, or take it apart, paint these guns up and stuff, and you know, you're good to go. But for what I'm talking about, and you know, testing your horizons and putting ideas on the table, just think outside the box and start looking at textures. You know, you want to think mini scale, very mini scale, so everything that you can cut down is gonna help. But that's basically what I do, guys. And you know, I hope that this video is valuable. If it is, you know, go and check out the other Let's Talk videos that I have. And let me know what the next one you'd like to see is, because I'd like to make this an ongoing series of videos to help newcomers in the hobby and give value back to the people that, you know, gave value to me as I got into this hobby. So that's it, guys. Just a few different things that you can add to your arsenal of building for these Gaslands post-apocalyptic builds. I hope that it was valuable to you. And leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think, you know. That'll be it for today, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.